Well, hello people, and welcome back to part 36 of the build guide 2. I hope you're having a wonderful day. And welcome back to the Brookings and Queens area. Wonderful time last episode putting all this together. And a ton of fun, worked out really nicely, didn't it? Lots of different themes and ideas happening here. And a wonderful new pack, really enjoy having this as a medium density solution now. And we're going to take a little journey through the downtown together. As we head toward where we're working today, we're going to be heading back to Karen. At the rough and ready town right on the edge of the, main metropolitan area of Orchid Bay. Because we actually want to start developing some interchange ramps today. Kind of a network planning episode coming up. Very much like we did over here when we opened 25 tiles. We've now just got to prepare these spaces for building, of course. And there's a couple of problems that we need to fix in Karen. So currently, all of the traffic that comes from these industrial areas and town and traffic, they're all taking Wing 4 hills to get back to the highway, and you can see where they're coming. They're all coming through town centre and down to this road and then down here. It is flowing, but it's starting to get a bit choppy now as well, and also this train intersection is starting to slow people down. So it's not gridlocked, it's just busy, so we definitely want to solve that before it gets any busier. So I think we will elevate the train line and eventually come to complete Karen next episode. With a fun transport hub that I've got planned. But today, want to do a new highway interchange and lots of slip ramps onto different arterial systems, and also hook this interchange in with a national road that links back up to the fields of Golden. A lot of network fun today. Let's build some highway interchanges and national roads. Say Skylines, shall we? So we're going to leave our game paused today because we're killing a national highway connection, and this will be very bad news for the city. But what we've got here is a little elevation already within the map. And I don't really want to build kind of a preset template interchange here. You know, what I want to have is something that's custom made for the landscape and the roads access that we need. So kind of a fun custom fit interchange today. You know, we're not coming in saying we're going to build a dumbbell or divergent diamond or a parklow. We're going to build something that fits what we have to work with. So first of all, let's work on our ground layers. This is always helpful for me. So let's bring this road right the way through. And this will eventually head to the new town of Sharon, which I think is going to lie along the riverbank over here, between the highway, of course, the rival town to Karen, but we'll get there eventually. So I want a couple of roundabouts in here, so I'm going to grab my 3-lane one-way road, and I want them near enough to where the ramps are going to be, so let's maybe plan it in here, and we'll do a 5-deep roundabout, just like so. Bring it up to those road guidelines, and everyone's happy, and then we can, of course, break the middle connection. And I imagine I'll probably want something similar happen down here as well, so make sure we're all on the same terrain level. And then we'll sort of roughly gauge where these are going to come down, probably to about here. So again, we'll do another little 5-deep roundabout as well. And then we can break that centre road. So we're borrowing some features of a dumbbell interchange on this bottom layer, using the roundabouts to help manage our traffic flow. So now let's come in with this big embanked layer, because this is where our highway roads are going to sit. On both sides of the road for a bit, and I think we're even going to push you back a little bit more just so we've got that leeway. So there's also another 6-lane road coming out of Karen this way, and I think what we are going to do is create a very temporary rail crossing. I think we are going to elevate this train line today, so of course this is only temporary. But I want this in so I know that I want to provide access onto that arterial, which of course runs straight into downtown, rather than giving them the only option to head through this way. So I'd like to factor in some ramps to accommodate that, especially for people leaving the highway this direction. So let's bring through a little cut through here. Fantastic, and then we'll grab some highway roads. We will probably build it out of dirt roads and 2-lane roads for right now, but we'll of course upgrade once we know what's happening. So we'll line that up there, go straight through, and then you can hook in with another slip ramp here hopefully at some point. So that gives access onto that arterial road there, which is great. And I think what we probably will end up doing here is having these as one-way roads and then bringing a separate slip to come up and over to join this highway direction. We'll see anyway. We'll see how it performs. So let's grab some more highway roads. We're going to get our 3-lane roads this time, and I want to kick you guys back a little bit and then force this embankment up just a touch more. Probably out here too. We'll do some sloping in a second. Cool, so from here we can just bring them straight down to earth, so let's go for a distance of 350. Cool. And then let's just give a little bit more breathing room either side of this 6 lane, so we have some room for our pillars to land. There we go. And now we can grab them in. And once we're here, we want to come up by 3 elevation points. It's like the embanked land is slightly lower than we would probably like it, but I think we can get away with the little bridge there. See, we're ever so slightly higher there. That'll just be because of the terrain. So let's go ahead and push our level terrain out a little bit more than that. We want to make sure we keep this pretty parallel. There we go, nice and mirrored. That's going to be happy for me. Let's have a look at this section over here now. So we will need to do a little bit of slope terrain here. So grab our large brush size and probably from about here, I think should give us a sensible slope. I'll be happy enough with that. Grab those highway roads again. You can always tell you're doing a good job here if you're maintaining that same gap between the roads. So snapping to road guidelines is going to help with that. And then it's the same process here now. We'll approach again by a distance of 560. And then we want to make sure that we've got enough clearance here to get over that bottom road, which we should do really. And I think I just want to give a bit more room to that level terrain so we can line up those bridge pillars first. So we can get them in there at distances of 760. That's going to be good for me. It can be helpful to draw the bridges across first sometimes, if you struggle with layers and whatnot. And then we'll come back to road length and we will come back down to earth at a distance of 920. Cool. And then this should hopefully now just be a simple case of curve and hello people with getting everyone hooked back in. Hit those guidelines and then curve in. So we can replicate the distance there of 920 coming back down. Let's just see what we think of that. Don't think I'm going to hate it. Apart from you not being properly connected though. I do hate that. Let's make sure that that doesn't happen. There we go, that's what we want. And then we'll change everyone into the direction that they're supposed to be. Cool, so that's kind of step 1 of the interchange setup. Now we'll go ahead and let the game play because we've re-established those intercity connections. But we've got some nice bridges coming over, different layers to play with now, which will be fun to detail of course. So now let's come to arranging some slip ramps for this particular interchange. So we'll go ahead and get our slope tool again, and then we're going to start sloping out here. So I probably want quite a large brush size for this, because we want to affect quite a bit of land. So push this out. It's going to warp the riverbank in a little bit, but nothing that can't be detailed away. That's fabulous. So it's coming now to grab some slip lanes, and hopefully the highway and vanilla is going to play fair with us. So what we could do is actually feed a parallel bridge across and allow it to hook back in with the interchange over there. Or we could bring in another ramp from say here and have it feed up into this way, which would also give access to that direction. I feel like that would be what the city would do, because building another bridge would be a lot more expensive than doing this, I guess, wouldn't it? So we'll run with that idea for right now. So then we'll get some freeform highway ramps, and then we'll start coming down towards this roundabout, hit the guideline with the curve tool, and we'll come in. And we probably want to upgrade this to 2 lane as we approach the roundabout for some quick lane math. That's going to be fun. And then we'll get that slope tool again for this connection now, and we'll slope up, hopefully from here. Something like that should be quite nice. And then again, we'll draw this in with a regular road first, and then we can upgrade to the highway ramps afterwards. So let's see if we can possibly match the curve of the highway with this road. And then we'll swing back in and find a nice wide connection point for it. Of course, we're playing with 25 tiles now, so we've got the room for these sort of fancier, wider ramps. And it should look quite impressive as well once it's all connected in and flowing. But now that is one connection sorted, hopefully we'll start seeing some people bleed off here. I'm really interested to see all the pressure relieve off of these roads here. I'm saying that as they're not very busy now, but they will take our pressure taken off them at least. And then same thing over here. I just want to arrange this slope now so it comes up and down. Something like that should be good. And again, we'll do this kind of back to front. So let's have this one come off. Can we actually check the measurement there? That was a ramp of 180. Let's see if we can replicate that on this side as well. Let's actually set up these slip lane first. So we'll have it come off like that. And then connect in at 180. And then that should hopefully be a happy road guideline and curve. Yes please. And then again, quick change of direction. And now that should be interesting because that's going to allow people to get on the highway that way. And there's already someone choosing to take the ramp back on that highway. Of course, we will eventually downgrade this highway road into 2-lane once we know where all our slip ramps are arranged. And we can already see there's traffic taking that through route back onto the arterial road there, which is good. So now I want to arrange some slip ramps for this side of things. So we're going to, again, mimic the bridges with the slip ramps because we're nice and arranged here at the same levels, which is good for everyone. And then come back down the same way this does, and then we'll get that slope tool again. This time we want to grab this height and a nice big wide brush size, and we'll slowly just slope that landmass out so the ramp can come down. That's going to be good enough for me, I think. We got some nice freeform tools, freeform curves again, and then let's go for here, and then hopefully a freeform curve into that one, and then we'll grab those 2-lane roads again as we come into the roundabouts, so they can turn off. And then again, it'd be nice if we could match the trajectory of this slip ramp here. So what we will do is match the curve of the highways with the slip ramp to about there, I think. And then can we come back in the same node? Yes, we can. And then flip that around. Cool, so that allows them to leave this direction, and that is the main slip ramps arranged on the main highway now. So this entire central highway bit can become a 2-lane highway for those lane maths. Something like that should do. Cool. Can we do the 4-lane here? Yeah, we can do 4-lane. I think we will do a couple sections of 4-lane then, just as the slip ramps come back in. That way they'll get the sort of time to merge in properly and hopefully safely. But that is the directions hooked in now. Let's just take a little bit of time here to see how this flows. It's quite interesting, isn't it? So there's one connection I would like to provide, is this arterial here. If you're coming straight out of downtown and you don't want to pass through Karen for obvious reasons, then there's going to be a slip ramp here that heads this way on the highway. And I think the best way to do that might be via another bridge, which might be quite cool to have another little layer in there. It might be slightly over-engineered, but we'll give it a go anyway. Cool, so let's arrange this road to now accommodate that new ramp, and I think we're just going to move it ever so slightly further down the road, so let's go for here, and then we are going to actually draw across some T roads, so we can use the grid snapping to align our highway slips. So we of course snap into the grid, and then we'll have this one come down into... turn off grid road guideline here. Yeah, and then I want that to come down into there. And then we can hit road guideline again now. We'll have this one sit here and then snake up that way, and we'll arrange that to be the bridge. And let's bring this road down. We'll hook in on the curve tool to that one. I guess that can also be 2-directional. And then this can hook back into there to be 1-directional. And then we can delete those T holding frames now as well. So let's delete a little section of this and actually align our bridges first like we have done with the other sections. So we'll come up here. It's like a 2-point elevation there, is it? It's about the same height, isn't it? And then we want to cross over the highway. Probably only certain snappings are going to be helpful here. We're having a little bit of modern art, but it's vanilla. It's totally unavoidable. And it looks like it's a pretty simple connection for you straight into there. And then we can upgrade that to be 2-lane, although the slope is too steep there. Is that because of the 4-lane highway? It might be. No, it just needs reconnecting in, I think. Yeah, there we go with the 2-lane. Cool, and then that can remain as 4-lane highway. Fantastic, so that'll give us that slip ramp into there. And now we just want to hopefully have this come up and over this road. Which it will at about that gradient there, so that's quite... I'd rather not have that happen, so I think what we can do is actually increase the slope here to allow the bridge to pass over first. So we'll sort of chisel out a little bit of a gully for that slip ramp to come down and slope that out in a second. And now we can give priority to this little elevated road that's going to hopefully pass over that section there, and then you will swoop down and under as we initially had it, and hopefully a road guideline curve here now with that one there is going to look horrific. So we want to make sure it doesn't look like that. Again, when you play modded cities, you become spoiled by Move It and Anarchy, you really do. So we can see there where it's just starting to elevate up, so we want to make sure that the pillar comes down on that same terrain height, and that'll stop that little bump from happening. There we go. I think we can actually delete that section there. Let's have this one come in on a pretty sensible slope, hopefully. That's not too bad. And then this will hopefully just hook in without any weird gradients, and we can now arrange our directions. It might even be better to continue embanking this rather than raise it there, but we'll see what the flow is like first, of course. Any sort of curves can be configured come detailing. And I think we'll also upgrade this one here into 2-lane. So let's see how that performs. So I want to just see how many people choose to take that highway access there. I think a little bit of asymmetry might be appreciated at a couple of points across the interchange as well. So I think we're going to go for the asymmetrical 3-lane. And then want to have this here coming into the slip ramp, so the ramp onto the highway gets a dedicated turning lane, which should be quite nice. And that's pretty much it, I think, for this interchange here. So see what I mean, right? We can have a lot of fun building custom designs, different slip ramps and different angles. Some of the curves might need reworking a little bit, but once it's detailed, it should be quite a nice little interchange, I think. And then once we've done all that terrain work, I think just going over it once with a strong soften tool can just make it look a little bit more natural than all that very obvious terraforming terrain work. Fantastic. So I really want to see someone come use this new slip ramp here. Yeah, they are. Well, one person took it anyway, which is good. But of course, it's all, you know, future-proofing, isn't it? That's what it's all about. We've got highway connectivity here now for when the town of Karen grows bigger, and eventually the town of Sharon will also hook into this interchange as well. But it's nice. We'll of course come back and detail it later on. But right now, I'd love to turn my attention toward the train line in Karen, because I think I'm going to need your guys' opinion on this. So of course we've been doing some testing, and we've been using the high-speed elevated rail for a lot of the downtown road network, or rail network rather. And what I'd like to have happen here is to use that high-speed network again. So I think we're going to turn this into elevated rail network using the high-speed viaduct, and we'll sort of judge this up as to where we want it to go. There's also a bit of keyword. Yeah, let's just go ahead and tidy up all this landscape here, because we've got some keys that actually need to be hooked in. So I'm thinking what we might do is actually bring up an embankment, but keep the bridge as a bridge. Kind of similar to what we did in that park a few episodes ago, over by the downtown. I think we'll do something like that. So let's push the elevation through. We probably need to lose a little bit of this oil fencing now as well. It's probably not appropriate for the area. Same with these tree lines too. Okay, so we can have that come through now, and then let's bring this on to... I'll bring it down to earth. So this is where I need your guys' opinion. Should we keep it on the embankment but slightly elevated, which gives us a very sort of fancy, very engineered looking rail line, doesn't it? And I really want to do some of the Japanese railroad stuff as the transport hub here. But I don't know if the Japanese or the high-speed rail line is too modern for Karen. But maybe that could be part of the law, you know. You know, Karen's a pretty run-down area, but, you know, the government still paid for this high-speed rail project to be brought through the suburb. Shout out to HS2 for those living in the UK. Kind of a similar vibe. Cool. Yes, and then we can actually have that start from there. Hopefully that's not going to upset the gradient, please. I don't think it will. It seems pretty sensible to me. Yeah, and then I think we'll just keep this going through. So let me know if you think we should do this, because this will be next episode when we return to build in Karen again. So let me know what you think. We'll also grab this embankment for it to appear again on this side. Let's push that through. Let's delete a little bit of stuff here. Let's go for a medium brush size as well. Fill this whole space now. So yeah, we'll develop a new train interchange here with some trolley buses as well, I think, which should be a lot of fun. So hopefully you're all looking forward to seeing Karen again, which I know isn't something you often hear. And I guess we'll just keep this embankment going over the road. We might as well, hadn't we? Let's have that go there, and then we'll terraform out the other side. We will have to be careful with the train, please. Here, this will be a pretty intense gradient. So push that back a little bit more. Cool. And then hopefully you should just cross in one go. Nope, you won't. That's fine. Bring it up a little bit closer to the road. Really, you won't cross at that height? You okay? And then we'll bring it back down to earth on its full bridge stretch. And then with that slope tool from here to here, hopefully. That should be a nice, smooth connection. Fabulous. So let me know what you think of the high-speed rail viaduct going through Karen. We'll of course develop a train interchange onto this come next episode. Or do you think it should just be on the ground, ready to go? But it does kind of give it a more impressive infrastructure vibe here, doesn't it? So let me know, elevated or on the ground for Karen's new rail line. You guys can decide. So this is flowing really nicely now, and you can just see how much less traffic is passing through Wingfall Hills. It's also taken a ton of pressure off of this interchange down here, which is what we're going to work on now. But nice little shape. Of course it'll look a lot better once it's detailed and we change up some roads. I think what we will do is change this into a grass median. Might look quite nice. A little bit more landscaped. But I'm happy with it. So now we'll head over to this one because I want to add connectivity down to Fields of Golding, of course. So we were right on the edge of a tile boundary here, which is why this interchange is so squashed in. But we are going to slightly rework it here. So let's go into some new roads. We're going to grab ourselves the 2-lane, 2-directional highway road, the 4-lane one, the one that's brand new. And I want to make sure that we're at the same terrain height here on the other side as to where this one comes down, which we weren't quite. We can see it's a little bit taller than that. So let's grab that road now, and we want you to come back down to earth. Hopefully there, seems like a sensible idea. Don't think we're going to hate that. And then we're definitely going to need to give more breathing room to these slip ramps now. So let's come back into that slope tool. Again, I always feel a little bit like network episodes aren't that interesting to record because I'm not really, I feel like I repeat myself a lot during these builds, but I know you guys do like network planning, and especially there's a lot of it to do as well when we come into 25 tiles. Cool, so we've got a real kind of cut through on the highway now, don't we? It's very embanked and sliced through the land, which is always quite a cool aesthetic, I think. And then we want to bring off the slip ramps much earlier now, so let's come up this way. And then hopefully with a little freeform and angle tool, we need to do this with a regular road first because the highway ramps don't particularly like it. There we go. And now we can switch back to a highway ramp. And we'll start coming down here and hook in somewhere there. And now we can amend our lane maths for the middle of the highway to flow as such. Wonderful news. And we will also go for a 4-lane section as we merge back in this side, and we probably want to do the same over this way. Yeah, we'll do that one there. So that's going to make it look much more interesting, isn't it? So now let's come back into our slope tool, wide brush size here, and I want to start sort of blending in a lot of this terrain work down into something of a natural slope here. So also make sure that we're nice and level, give ourselves plenty of room. Always helpful with network stuff. And then we'll grab ourselves a... I guess we could actually go for a 6-lane here, because that would give us the lane maths, wouldn't it? As we came onto the interchange, yeah, they get the dedicated right turn there. And you obviously don't need to be regular road anymore. Let's go for that one. And then with these 2 sections here as we come on, we can probably afford a little bit of 2-lane there as well. Also here. Cool, and then I think what we will do now is that highway is back in now, so we will grab ourselves a bit of 3-lane one-way, and let's do another 5 deep roundabout on this one. And then I don't really want any sort of major infrastructure over here. This is very much going to be the start of Orchid Bay's country roads take me home sort of vibe. So to achieve that, we're going to actually come back over to this interchange here and delete this horrific connection now. That was squeezed up against that tile boundary. We can now breathe. So yeah, I think we'll go for that one, and then again we're coming into country roads here. So we'll stick on a standard small roundabout, upgrade that into the roads that we're using, which should be fine. And then we'll grab that 4-lane one. So upgrade that. We'll also upgrade this roundabout into 3-lane as well. And then we'll find a road guideline and a happy curve point for that to meet back up with the connection, which is great. We will also do the 3-lane while we're here. So good having these 3-lane one-way roads now for roundabouts in vanilla. Vastly improved traffic flow with them. Fabulous. And then again, I think just a little bit of country roads take me home is going to be the best vibe here. So let's come into our info views. We're going to grab terrain heights alongside our 2-way highway road. And we've got this big chunky landmass here, haven't we? So that road's going to go off that way. This is actually the edge of the 25 tower radius here, so I don't know where the other road's going to go. That is a job for future egg to worry about. But either way, let's sort of meander down this little hill here with the right highway. We want the 2-directional one, there we go. And then we'll spin it around to the bottom of this hill. And I think we'll just follow the contour lines of the mountain for the most part, which once we come out here, I imagine we're going to build a little bit of rural hotel stuff out here, a few nature reserves, etc. Especially on this hill. But that will now give us that little country national road, okay? That's going to flow through. We can do some nice nature reserve fence detailing around this. Bring off a smaller town, perhaps. I also think that there's a nice little happy connection that could probably be brought out from here. Again, we're going to need to use a regular road first, otherwise the highway roads go a little bit bendy and weird. So let's now upgrade that back into highway. We'll do some asymmetry on these junctions as well in a second. And then let's meander this through here and have a connection that comes back into this road. Cool, so that should start to establish now some country lane vibes. I guess we'll see what happens. It's going to take a little second for the AI to kick in and actually take that as a road, but there you go. Some people already choosing to take it, which is great. And of course we can bring off another connection here and feed this over the hill and fire away into the new 25 tower radiuses when we come to build some rural towns, which should have a very distant cute view to that downtown skyline eventually. Obviously blocked by the hill, but we can get some cool park designs up here in the nature reserve, I think. Some of those new sort of cabin hotels as well. Should be a lot of fun out here when we do get out this way. But otherwise this is flowing much smoother now, which is great to see. People using those 2 lanes as well to go left and right. That's what we like to see. Thank you very much, AI. Actually behaving itself for once, which is good. So we could use the highway asymmetricals here. I feel like we should maybe slow them down though at a junction like this. Not entirely sure. But we will just go for highway ones for right now. Of course, we want to arrange the asymmetry facing into the junction. So people get those dedicated turning lanes if they want to take the turn off there. Then indeed they can do, but that gives so much more road interconnectivity for 2 pretty big areas, including all this area down here, Fields of Golden, and then this little country national road network that's starting to appear back into another interchange, and of course Karen's sort of custom fit interchange is flowing nicely as well. But some nice road network planning, and it feels like a good time indeed for a detailing time lapse. I'm going to go ahead and sketch out some frames here that need to be connected, right? We can see where things just want to be fed through. Detail up both of the interchanges, lots of roundabout detail in here. Layering, maybe change some elevations if I feel I'm not quite comfortable with them. And then also over here as well, decorate that one and help settle our new road networks into the map. But this should be quite a cool arrival point into Orchid Bay. You do get a pretty tremendous view of that skyline from here, don't you? It's a nice drive into the city. But either way, let's detail, and then we'll be right back. brief detailing review, shall we? There's not too much to cover here, but we'll start with the main interchange, which has now been lined with a bunch of rocks, suburban fence, and the classic build guide forest. Didn't want to go too landscaped here, wanted to make it look as though the interchange had been built through a naturally forested area and now kind of cuts through that forest, if you like. Downgraded the middle road into a 4-lane road with grass median, and then lots of overgrowth. Reworked this bridge here slightly so it fits in a little bit better, which I'm much happy with now. And I love how this interchange is almost mirrored. You know, we have sort of 3 bridges passing over those bottom layers, and then those layers kind of crisscross over one another. It's really fun. I hope you've managed to sort of pick up something about building custom fit interchanges today. You know, you don't always need to default to one of those sort of classic templates, be it a Parklow or, you know, Dumbbell, Divergent Diamond. Sometimes building something custom fit for the landscape and the networks and connections that you need can be much more interesting. And I'm tremendously happy with this too. Also got a little detailed rock wall here as we pass back under one of the layers under the main highway bridges. And then we've also extended the roads here up to Karen, ready to build a big Karen transport hub next episode. And don't forget to let me know, do we want to see this remain as ever so slightly elevated rail line, or do we want to see it return to the on the ground one the way it was before but still embanked? I'm just sort of going off what we did over here, right? That very slight elevation really does a lot for the rail network. So let me know what you think of that anyway. We'll go with the sort of general consensus on that. But expect some trolleybus and train interchange next episode as we come to work on the town of Karen again for the first time in a very long time. And then further down the highway, we'll come down here where we've added in a new connection back up to the interchange again, just for more of those country road vibes out here. And of course this will extend down that way. Just sort of repainted the forest here, did a bit of terraforming too to cut out this landmass, and it's a really nice part of town, this area now. Upgraded this full stretch here into the 4-lane road with highways, and we've got a 6-lane here for some lane maths and a little bit of new silver birch lining, which looks really nice, doesn't it? Those new silver birch trees in a row against the highway, there's something to be said about that, I think. Really appreciative of that anyway. And then this now comes into the roundabout, which again has been classically detailed with wild hedge lining and a flame tree. And then these road networks now all span off into either somewhere or nowhere to eventually be developed into whatever lies out this side. Again, if you have ideas of what you want in these areas, these are the episodes to tell me. And then this snakes down now into the asymmetry, and then back to another very basically detailed roundabout, which of course hooks back into the roundabout on the Fields of Golden. And I have just realised as well we need to actually mimic these slip lanes, but it's likely this side of the map will change as we come out here, so we'll hold off on doing that just yet. Oh yes, and we also dropped in the radio mast by the main interchange as well, which I think gives it a nice little pop of height, doesn't it? Seeing that little radio mast in there in amongst all the layers. It's pretty cool. I do like it. But otherwise, guys, that is going to do it for today. I'd like to thank you all so much for watching. If you've enjoyed, likes, comments and shares below really do help out the channel. Equally as much if you haven't enjoyed it, then please feel free to leave a dislike as well. Like I mentioned earlier, I hope you've sort of managed to maybe take a bit of inspiration from today's custom fit interchanges and how they can be much more effective than the standard preset ones, I think, at times. And it's always good practice as well, you know, playing with different layers and heights and crisscrossing. I think we're certainly getting better at interchanges, and it's nice to see all that pressure taken off the roads through Karen and Wingfour Hills. They now have their own dedicated service interchange for the highway, and of course one day Sharon will also be eventually hooked into this. Please do enjoy your cinematics, the nighttime view from this spot, looking over towards that wonderful skyline that we spent the last 10-15 episodes crafting. Really pays off, so please do enjoy it. But otherwise, I will shut up and leave it there. I'd like to thank you all so much for watching, and as always, enjoy the rest of your day.